Melissa, and I would like to share with you a couple of tips that can help you look very pretty when you ugly cry. So stick around, there's a few things. Now, before I say what I'm about to say, it is very important to note that when I talk about the expression of emotions, that expression has to be done first and foremost in a safe way for other people and for ourselves as well. So the first thing that I would recommend is to surround yourself by people who love emotions. See? Because one of the mistakes I've made, and I don't want you to make the same mistake, one of the mistakes I've made is that I wanted to express my emotions to the people that loved me or that said they love me, or to people whom I loved. And that's not necessarily a good idea, because sometimes the people who love us or the people that we love, they may not be comfortable with the expression of emotions, and that's okay. Some people are just not comfortable with that, and we need to respect that. Sometimes they don't feel comfortable with their own emotions. So how can they be present for us? And sometimes, even the more they love us, the more uncomfortable they are, the less they want to see us, for instance, cry or something, because it makes them feel really uncomfortable. They want to fix us. They want to see us happy. And so expressing the emotions with people who love us or whom we love may not be a good idea. Sometimes the person that loves us, it's capable of doing that. But sometimes that person, it's really difficult for them, and that's okay. So it's good to be around people who are going to be empathic, who are going to sit with us, offer us empathy and compassion without trying to change us, without trying to fix us, just allowing the emotions to flow. And especially, do not express your emotions, don't share your emotions with people who are going to shame you for your emotions. Because it is when we see ourselves in that mirror of a person shaming us for our emotions, it's that shame which we may have experienced as children, it's that shame that made us feel ugly. That's the ugliness that we have associated with the expression of emotion. It wasn't the expression of emotions, it was the contempt and the lack of empathy. That's what was ugly. So try to avoid those people and say, you know what, I need to have a minute to myself, and then connect with people who are going to be there for you. Now, the second thing I would recommend is to surround yourself by your own love, your own unconditional self-acceptance. Especially when we're experiencing unpleasant feelings, especially in those moments, that's when we need to offer ourselves more love and more unconditional self-acceptance, because those are the moments when we need more of our own emotional support. Now, this is not so easy to do if you were brought up in an environment where there was no empathy, where there was no compassion. This may take time to learn. It requires practice, and we get better at it as we do it. But at the beginning, it may be uncomfortable because we never learned how to do that. We never received that unconditional love that any child should receive. If a child is sad because somebody did something hurtful, and they said, don't cry, then the child starts to repress those feelings. And so when a child learns to receive that empathy, that's okay, baby, come here, cry, then they learn how to do that for themselves when they grow up. And they also don't grow up with so much accumulated traumas and pain, but they learn how to do it. So if you were not taught that tool of self-compassion, it takes time to learn it, but you can do it. We can learn those tools. It's a natural human ability that we have that was just removed in the socialization process. So in those moments, offer yourself all the love you can offer to yourself, and little by little, it keeps getting stronger, that love for yourself. But that's a very important thing, And then the more you do it, the more you offer yourself that compassion, the more you can be present for others too, and not be so uncomfortable when they express their emotions. The third thing I would recommend is to view emotions and the expression of emotions from a different angle. You know that expression that says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change? So many of us have been conditioned to see the expression of emotions as a sign of weakness, when in reality, sitting with our emotions is difficult. It requires a lot of courage and strength, and it's an expression of grace and self-compassion to sit with our emotions. We need to see the expression of emotions as an act of bravery, not an act of weakness. People, all of us, human beings, will go to great lengths to avoid feeling our emotions, our feelings. People develop addictions, compulsions, all kinds of things because we're trying to avoid the unpleasant feelings. So to really sit with our feelings, and especially to connect with the origin, to the original feelings, is the most compassionate but also courageous thing we can do. And the second aspect about changing the way we look at emotions is this. So we have, as humans, we have a physical body, as we all know, and in our physical body we have a digestive system. This digestive system, as we know, what it does is when we eat something, we get to keep the nutrients and discards what doesn't serve us. And that is all done by our physical body. But emotionally, we have a very similar ability. Of course, it's not tangible, it's in the psyche, it's more intangible, but it does a similar thing. When we are confronted with an experience that is unpleasant, then this emotional machinery that we have, we're so blessed to have from our factory, is that we can be confronted with something that is unpleasant, and then we are able to keep the nutrients, which are the lessons or the beautiful things, the beautiful memories, but also to get rid of what doesn't serve us, the things that are toxic, the things that we don't want to keep. And we can only do that, we can mostly do that through the expression of emotions. That's why emotions is emovere. It comes from the Latin word emovere, which means move the energy. We can discard that energy that doesn't serve us, and we sort of purify ourselves. Now, the difference between our physical bodies and our emotional world or our emotional bodies, there are many differences, of course, but one of the differences is that our physical bodies, the digestive process is done automatically. We don't have to think about it. Whereas the emotional world requires our conscious choice. So when we were not taught how to do it as children, and we were taught the opposite, to suppress our emotions, we need to retrain ourselves and learn how to do it. And so that's one of the differences. It's not done automatically. It requires our conscious awareness and our conscious choice. The mind has to choose to say, I'll be present for my emotions. The second difference is that our bodies, usually it does it automatically and daily. Whereas with the emotions, our emotional bodies, so to speak, have this incredible ability to be able to, if nobody was there for us as children, let's say, or if it wasn't safe to express our emotions, our psyche has this mechanism that it can repress the emotions. And then it stores it and it saves it in a compartment of the psyche, like in the shadows of the psyche, and it can stay there for decades. And it'll come out, as you know, it's been studied, it comes out as a repetition compulsion or in dreams and stuff, but we are able to repress it. So it's not done automatically, and it's not done daily. It can be stored for a long time, decades even. So it requires our conscious decision, our conscious choice to say, now I'm ready to feel it, if it comes from the past. And if it's from the present, it also requires our authorization, so to speak, that we say, yeah, I want to feel it. I'm willing to do it. And I have the, like I said before, the strength, the courage, and the grace to feel these feelings. And so those are the two main differences. But the fact that we can store it and then feel it when we're ready, that's also a great gift that we have. So those are the differences, and those are also the blessings in our emotional machinery, so to speak. And last but not least, I have found it to be very, very important to connect with the spiritual source of love and of benevolence. Some people believe in God, some people don't. I'm not going to get into that. But to connect with a spiritual loving force that can shield us and surround us as we walk through the maze of feelings. Because like I said before, feeling our feelings is difficult. It's not easy. So we need to have all the assistance and support that we can have so that we can walk through that maze that gets very challenging sometimes. And so, like I said at the beginning, first, surround ourselves by people who love emotions, surround ourselves by our own love, view emotions from a different angle, and then to have this spiritual connection. All those tools will help us experience emotions and see ourselves from the eyes of heaven. Beauty is not just in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is especially in the heart of the beholder. There is no beauty without love. And so when we look at ourselves from the eyes of heaven, that is, when we look at ourselves with eyes of love, and then we cry, we can genuinely and sincerely tell ourselves, you are crying and you are so brave and you look so pretty. And the fact that you are purifying your soul and loving yourself in the process means that you are even more beautiful, especially when you cry.